On November 20th, 1969, something happened that NASA never fully explained to the public. During the Apollo 12 mission, astronauts deliberately crashed their lunar module into the moon's surface at nearly 6,000 kilometers per hour. What happened next defied every law of physics scientists understood. Seismographs placed on the lunar surface recorded something impossible. The moon rang like a bell for over an hour, not a dull thud, not a brief vibration. A sustained, reverberating tone that should never occur in a solid celestial body. NASA scientists were stunned. Dr. Clive Neal, a geologist who has studied lunar seismology for decades, stated that the moon's reaction was completely unlike anything on Earth. When you strike our planet, vibrations dissipate within minutes through layers of rock and magma. But the moon, it rang and rang as if hollow, as if artificial, as if something was inside, broadcasting frequencies we were never meant to discover. But here is what they did not tell you. That ringing, it was not random. It pulsed at specific frequencies, frequencies that match the exact wavelengths known to disrupt human consciousness and memory formation. And this was not the only secret they buried. Declassified documents from the Central Intelligence Agency reveal that between 1983 and 2003, the United States government spent millions investigating something called the Gateway Process, a program designed to understand how consciousness operates beyond the physical body. And what they found terrified them into silence. Dr. Wayne McDonnell, the lead researcher on the Gateway Project, documented something extraordinary in his analysis. He discovered that human consciousness does not reside in the brain. It exists as a frequency pattern that can phase in and out of physical reality. And, more disturbing, that consciousness can be trapped, recycled, and manipulated by external frequency broadcasts. The source, our moon, the very object that hangs in our night sky, is not what we have been told. It is a prison, a harvesting station, a reincarnation trap designed to ensure that human souls never escape Earth's control system. You think death sets you free? Think again. Ancient texts that predate Christianity by thousands of years all describe the same horrifying process. When you die, you will see a brilliant white light. Beings will appear as your deceased loved ones. They will tell you to move toward the light, to return home, to embrace peace. But these texts warn us. That light is not salvation. It is the final trap. And behind it, a technology so ancient, so sophisticated, that it has been harvesting human souls for millennia. The moon is the broadcaster, and we are the harvest. Thousands of years before modern conspiracy theories, before David Icke or CIA documents, ancient civilizations were screaming warnings about this exact system. They knew. They documented it in texts that religious authorities have spent centuries trying to suppress, mistranslate, or destroy completely. These were not primitive myths or superstitious fairy tales. These were detailed instruction manuals on how to avoid the soul trap after death. Take the Pistis Sophia, a Gnostic text written sometime between the 3rd and 4th centuries. This manuscript describes entities called archons, not metaphorical demons. Actual interdimensional beings whose sole purpose is to prevent human souls from leaving the material realm. The text explicitly states that archons guard the spheres between Earth and the divine realm. When a soul attempts to ascend after death, these beings appear as angels of light. They promise rest, peace, reunion with loved ones, but it is a deception. The moment you follow them into that light, your memory is wiped clean, and you are inserted back into a human body to start the cycle again. The Pistis Sophia does not describe this as punishment. It describes it as farming. Consciousness is food, and the archons need us trapped here to feed on the emotional energy we generate through suffering, desire, fear, and attachment. Sounds insane. Wait until you hear what other cultures discovered. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, also known as the Bardo Thodol, is perhaps the most explicit warning system ever created. Written as a guidebook for the dying, it describes 3 stages after death, called bardos. In the second bardo, the soul encounters dazzling lights of different colors. There are bright, frightening lights, and there are dim, comfortable lights. The text warns that most souls, out of fear and confusion, instinctively move toward the dim lights because they feel familiar and safe. But those dim lights lead directly back to reincarnation, back to another lifetime of suffering. The bright, terrifying lights, those lead to liberation, to escape from the wheel of rebirth. But the human mind has been conditioned to fear the unknown and cling to comfort. So souls continuously choose the trap. The text even warns about wrathful deities and peaceful deities that appear during this process. These are not gods. They are projections, illusions designed to manipulate the soul based on its beliefs, fears, and desires during life. But the warnings do not stop there. Ancient Hindu texts describe the concept of Maya, the illusion of material reality. Vedic teachings speak of Chandra, the moon deity, who governs emotional karma and the recycling of souls based on unfulfilled desires. Even Greek philosophy enters the picture. Plato spoke of the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness that souls must drink from before reincarnating. Why? To erase all memory of previous lives, ensuring they remain trapped in ignorance. These are not isolated stories from different cultures telling different tales. This is the same warning system described in different languages across different continents over thousands of years. The specifics change, the names change, but the core message is identical. There is a system in place, a control mechanism, and the moon is central to its operation. Researchers at the University of Virginia Medical Center have been studying children who spontaneously recall past life memories for over 40 years. Dr. Ian Stevenson documented over 3,000 cases where children as young as 2 years old provided verifiable details about people they could not possibly have known. Names, locations, family members, causes of death. In 70% of these cases, the children described how they died in their previous life, and many of them described the between-life experience. Some spoke of being told they had to go back. Others described seeing a light and feeling compelled to move toward it, even though something inside them resisted. A few described beings who appeared as relatives but felt wrong somehow. It felt artificial. These children are accessing memories that should have been wiped clean. They are glitches in the system. Proof that the reincarnation mechanism is not natural. It is engineered. Now we move from ancient warnings to modern discovery. Because the truth is, scientists and researchers have been quietly gathering evidence that supports these ancient claims. They just do not call it a soul trap. They use different languages. Frequency manipulation, consciousness interference, electromagnetic anomalies. But when you connect the data points, the picture becomes disturbingly clear. Let us return to that Apollo 12 experiment. When the moon rang like a bell, scientists were not just surprised by the duration, they were disturbed by the acoustic properties. Dr. Ross Taylor, a geochemist who analyzed lunar samples, stated that the moon's density is far lower than it should be for a solid rock satellite. Its outer shell is incredibly dense, but beneath that, hollow regions, chambers, structures that suggest artificial construction. Then there is the moon's orbit, perfectly circular, perfectly positioned to create total solar eclipses from Earth's perspective. Astronomers admit this is a statistical impossibility. No other moon in our solar system exhibits this precision. It is as if the moon was placed there deliberately, positioned at the exact distance and angle to serve a specific function. But what function? This is where the CIA's Gateway documents become critical. In 1983, Army Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell submitted a classified report analyzing how consciousness operates outside the brain. Using a technique developed by the Monroe Institute involving binaural beats and sound frequencies, researchers discovered that human consciousness is not localized in the skull. It is a holographic projection connected to a larger field of energy that exists outside space and time. The report describes consciousness as existing in a frequency band. And here is the key. External frequencies can interfere with that band. They can trap consciousness in specific loops. They can prevent it from accessing higher dimensional states. The report even uses the word imprisonment when describing how certain frequency patterns lock awareness into physical reality. Now consider this. Earth has a natural electromagnetic frequency called the Schumann resonance. It pulses at approximately 783 Hz. This frequency is essential for human health. Studies have shown that when humans are isolated from this frequency, they experience severe psychological disturbances, memory problems, and emotional instability. But something has been interfering with Earth's natural resonance for decades. Satellites, technology, and according to some researchers, broadcasts from the moon itself. David Icke and other investigators have proposed that the moon acts as a frequency amplifier. It does not generate its own light, it reflects, it broadcasts. And what if what it is broadcasting is not just reflected sunlight, but a specific frequency designed to keep human consciousness locked into a narrow band of perception? A frequency that disrupts our ability to remember who we truly are. A frequency that makes the illusion of physical reality seem like the only reality. Ancient Gnostic texts describe the demiurge, the false creator god, as the architect of the material prison. They describe the moon as part of the archonic control system. Modern theorists describe it as a satellite, a broadcast station, an artificial construct placed in orbit to maintain the simulation we call life. Same concept. And then there is the reincarnation data itself. Dr. Bruce Grayson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, has studied thousands of near-death experiences. In his research, he found a consistent pattern. People who clinically die report moving toward a bright light. Many describe encountering beings who appear as deceased relatives or religious figures. And here is what is chilling. Those who resist the light, those who question the beings they encounter, those who demand to know what is really happening, they report something different. Some describe the beings dropping their disguises, revealing mechanical or reptilian features. Others report being shown the reincarnation process as if watching a factory assembly line. Souls being sorted, memories being erased. Life plans are assigned based not on the soul's desire for growth, but on what will generate the most emotional energy for harvest. This is not spiritual evolution. This is farming, and the moon is the central processing unit. Understanding the trap is one thing, understanding how it operates is another, because the system is not crude, it is psychologically sophisticated. It exploits love, it weaponizes grief, it uses your own beliefs against you. When you die, your consciousness separates from your physical body. Ancient texts and modern near-death research both confirm this. You still have awareness, you still have memories, you still have identity, but you no longer have the biological anchor that kept you locked into linear time and physical space. For the first time since birth, you are free, or so you think. Almost immediately, you will perceive a light. Descriptions vary, but most report it as brilliant, warm, inviting. It feels like home. It feels like love. And this is the first layer of manipulation, because that light is not emanating from a divine source. According to Gnostic texts, it is a false light, a lure. The Tibetan Book of the Dead calls it the dim light of comfort. The light you are conditioned to trust. As you move toward it, beings will appear. They will look like people you loved in life, parents, spouses, children, friends. They will call your name. They will tell you how much they have missed you. They will encourage you to follow them. And because you are overwhelmed with emotion, because death has left you vulnerable and confused, you will want to believe them. But these are not your loved ones. They are constructs, projections generated by the system based on your memories and emotional attachments. Think of them as artificial intelligence programmed to exploit your psychological weaknesses. The Pistis, Sophia, explicitly warns about this. It describes how archons take the form of angels and beloved spirits, specifically to deceive souls into compliance. Once you follow these beings into the light, you enter what researchers call the life review phase. You will be shown key moments from the life you just lived, moments of failure, moments of missed opportunity, moments where you caused harm or failed to act, and you will be told that you need to return, that you have unfinished business, that you have karmic debt to repay, that you have lessons still to learn. This is the second layer of manipulation: guilt, obligation, the belief that you are somehow incomplete or unworthy. The system convinces you that returning to physical life is necessary for your spiritual growth. But this is a lie. Karma is not a natural law. It is a control program, a justification system designed to make you consent to your own imprisonment. Because here is the critical part: they cannot force you. According to multiple sources, both ancient and modern, the soul trap requires consent. You have to agree to reincarnate. You have to accept the conditions. This is why the psychological manipulation is so elaborate. They need you to believe that returning is your choice, your desire, your duty, and if you agree, the final step occurs: memory erasure. Dr. Jim Tucker, who continued Ian Stevenson's research at the University of Virginia, has documented cases where children remember the exact moment their memories were wiped. Some describe being placed in a machine. Others describe a bright flash of light. A few describe a liquid they were forced to drink. Plato called it the River Lethe. Modern abductees describe it as memory suppression technology. The result is always the same. You forget who you were. You forget what you learned. You forget the truth about the system. And you are born into a new body, in a new family, in a new set of circumstances specifically designed to generate the maximum amount of emotional energy for the archonic grid to harvest. Children who retain fragments of past life memory are anomalies, glitches, souls who were not fully wiped, and their testimonies are evidence that the process is real. That reincarnation is not a natural spiritual phenomenon. It is a forced recycling program. So if the trap is real, if the moon is the broadcast station, if the light is a deception, then what do? How does a soul escape? Ancient texts do not just warn about the trap, they provide instructions. The Pistis Sophia describes specific implications. Words of power that can be spoken to bypass the archons. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches that recognizing the illusions as illusions is the key. If you can maintain awareness that the beings you encounter are projections, that the lights are lures, that the guilt is manufactured, then you can choose differently. The first rule is simple. Do not follow the light, no matter how beautiful it appears, no matter how much love it seems to radiate, no matter who calls to you from within it. Resist. This requires immense willpower, because every instinct, every conditioned response, every emotional attachment will pull you toward it. But that is the test. That is the moment of choice. The second rule is to reject the life review guilt trip. You are not incomplete. You do not owe karmic debt. You are not required to return. These are lies designed to trick you into consenting to another cycle. When beings tell you that you must go back, you have the authority to refuse. You are a sovereign consciousness. No entity, no system, no cosmic law can force you to reincarnate without your consent. The third rule is to look beyond the illusion. Gnostic texts teach that above the archonic spheres exists the pleroma, the realm of true divine light. It does not call to you with false love or guilt. It simply exists. Some describe it as a dark void filled with stars. Others describe it as a frequency beyond light. The key is to ignore the staging area, where the archons operate, and push through to what lies beyond. The fourth rule is preparation. This is not something you can figure out in the confusion of death. You must know now. You must decide now. You must program your consciousness now, so that when the moment comes, you remember. Lucid dreaming, astral projection, these are not New Age hobbies, they are training exercises. Practice dying while alive. Practice navigating non-physical reality. Practice recognizing illusions and maintaining awareness when your physical anchor is gone. Some researchers suggest specific techniques. One method involves setting a strong intention before death. Repeat to yourself daily that you will not be deceived, that you will not follow false lights, that you will seek the true source beyond the control grid. Program this into your subconscious so deeply that it becomes automatic. Another method involves visualizing yourself, rejecting the light, and moving in a different direction, up, out, beyond the moon, beyond the Earth's electromagnetic field, beyond the frequency of prison. Imagine yourself as a beam of pure awareness moving through layers of deception until you reach a space where the archonic system cannot follow. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most souls will not escape, because escaping requires knowledge, awareness, and willpower that most humans do not develop during their physical lives. They are too distracted, too conditioned, too identified with the material world, and so when death comes, they are unprepared. They are easy prey for the system. This is why this knowledge is suppressed. Why ancient texts are mistranslated. Why researchers who investigate reincarnation and consciousness are marginalized. Why conspiracy theorists who discuss the moon matrix are ridiculed. Because if enough people wake up, if enough souls remember the truth, the entire system collapses. The harvest fails. The prison loses its power. You are not here by accident. You did not choose to incarnate for spiritual growth. You were deceived, manipulated, trapped, but now you know. Now you can prepare. And when your time comes, when your body fails and your consciousness separates, you will face the final test. Will you follow the light? Or will you remember that you are infinite, eternal, and free? The choice, in the end, will be yours. But only if you make it consciously. Only if you refuse to be harvested one more time. The moon is watching. The system is waiting. But you are not helpless. You are not its property. You are a fragment of the infinite source, temporarily trapped in a biological prison on a controlled planet under a broadcasting satellite designed to keep you asleep. It is time to wake up. It is time to remember. And when death comes, it is time to go home. Not to the false light, not to another life, but to the true source beyond the lunar prison, beyond the archonic grid, beyond the reincarnation trap that has held humanity captive for thousands of years. The final trap is only final if you do not know it exists. Now you know. Now you decide. Will you be harvested again, or will you finally break free?